Hey folks, Mr. Justin here with Secret Weapon Miniatures and another Workbench Wednesday. First, I want to thank you for joining me. I always look forward to knowing that Workbench Wednesday is going to be here and you'll be out there in the audience. And yeah, just a chance to create with my community. It's wonderful. Of course, if this is your first time joining me, please remember to like, subscribe, bells, whistles, all the things you need to do to make sure that you're keeping current with what's going on at Secret Weapon. Oh my goodness, let's see. And of course, today... I have darkness. All right, there we go. I have the 3-axle car I've been working on for Gaslands. Of course, I didn't get primer on the underside of that, so I'll fix that later. And this has some of our fun brass pieces on it. Turns out there's also a 3-axle contest going on at the Gaslands Facebook page. So now I have a 3-axle entry as of today because I got to show it work in progress and I'll get to show it painted. So I'm sort of surreptitiously entering a contest here. All right. But I also said that today's episode is going to talk more about our vellum plants, and I have some of those with me, including new releases. These are a September release, so this is both preview and demo today. This is the fern frame that we have, and I'm going to show you guys, I'm actually going to do these first. I'm going to show you guys why the vellum paper products are superior to the laser cut things you'll find on the market, or yeah, the laser cut cardstock you'll find on the market. Never mind that I find those very inflexible. And don't get me wrong, I have a drawer full of this stuff. Always have. Anybody who's seen my work knows that I use a lot of paper cut plants or paper plants, whether I've made them myself or purchased them. But that's all changed with the vellum. And this is something we've been working on to get right for a long time, and I was very glad that we could. Because first off, let me start with something simpler. Let me start with a lily pad, just to show it off. Because first off, right away you can tell you can see through it. Now I forgot to pick up some of our paper shaper, but we are actually formulating a product specifically for shaping paper. But right now, excuse me, I'm going to get a cup. Get some of my water. Pew, pew, pew. Don't need much. A brush. I'm looking around like, where are my brushes on my desk? They're not, Justin. Finished this part of the remodel a long time ago. What have I got? Load up my brush with some water. Find the invisible piece of vellum. Pick it up with water. Come here, you. There we go. So one of the things I can do is use a burnishing tool or the end of a brush. That way, get a nice natural shape to it. But now the fun part. I'm going to carry that with me, apparently. I am going to take, let's see, I'll actually use a little bit of ink because it's easy. Let me get a little bit of one of my darker green inks. Are you what I want? Yeah, you'll be perfect. Also, herpty derpty change my glasses. Hey, look at that. Water this down a bit. Quite a bit. Down thick. So water first. And add just a little tiny bit of ISO to reduce the drying time, speed up evaporation. Also reduces the surface tension, of course, but that's less important to me right now. All right, so I have my sheet here, and I'm going to keep these right here on the sheet. And what I'm going to do is get some ink, the towel, towel, got my ink, and I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to trace around the edge, like so, like so. Finish filling it in, like so, like so, like so, like so. Take a little bit of that water. I'm actually going to thin out some spots, kind of make it mottled a bit. And now that it's wet, take just a few drops of my ink. While this one dries, I'll get another. Do a couple of these differently. See if I can get some more of the more solid pigment from this end. There we go. Here's something fun. If I want to take the time, right, I have not put my pens back yet because I took them with me on my holiday, and my pen box is. It's like, oh, I'll take a few of my pens with me on holiday. So I did. Just a few. Worked on some sketch art, of course. All right. Now, it's not exactly right for a lily pad, but I'm going to go ahead and take the time to whooshka, 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 whoosh, 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 whoosh. Let that dry. On this one, I'm just going to do a little. Now the isopropyl in my ink here guarantees that this green will bleed a bit, and that's what I want. I want it to soften up those lines a bit. You can also use watercolor pencil, of course. Give me a very different look. All right. So, I have my green lily pad now. It's already wet, so I can shape it. Give it some natural texture if I want. Round it, flip it, flatten it. But one of the things you'll note is compared to, and I'll grab a piece. Maybe I might have taken all mine out. Ah. Of course not, it's just in the wrong drawer. Find one that's open. Here we are. In fact, it's a similar plant to our fern, so that's a good example. So this, and I'm gonna hide the name here, I don't want to pick on anybody. So this is gonna be green cardstock no matter what. Whereas this, I can change the color very easily. I don't have to completely paint it, and I get that natural translucency, so that if I'm working on a scene, I can decide whether or not you see through it, depending on how much I paint it. So not only can I get the water under there, but if I wanted to do things like, let's pick a different color here real quick. Let me get a bit of crimson ink. I'll show you the real beauty of this one. So I am just painting the outline on the lotus. Pretty much just tracing the cut line here. All right, got that. take a little bit of what's left, draw it here into the center. I would actually do this differently if I were painting it up for a piece, but not much. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Come on. Come on, little flower. Ah. Last but not least, this is one of those places where the translucency really shows itself off. Ah, my hand. Just kidding. Of course. Trying to keep it on there so you guys can see the translucency better than you will in my hand, but there we are. Deal with the focus for you. So there you can really see how the translucency can help sell the illusion of flowers at that scale. It's really tricky with our paper plants, but this way, coupled with my as green as I want it to be lily pad, really starts to come to life in a way that cardstock just can't match. And of course, now we're going to have our fern release in actually at the end of the month. We're doing this one a little bit early so that we can get some buzz going for you guys at ReaperCon. It will be available there at ReaperCon. Wicked Elf Miniatures, I believe, is going to be stocking this. Greg is the designer for these. Now the fern, because it's so delicate, I generally recommend pulling this one out before you color it, but if, like me, you don't want to, just get your hobby knife, be gentle, aim for the stem of the strands, keep your blade under it, boop, all the way to the center, pull them out, come up from the top, follow the stem, boop. Of course, when they're dry, they're a lot easier to take out. I'll show you that in a second too. Boop. I like painting them on the frame because that way I can guarantee that I'm only getting color on one side, keep my other side translucent. I could also dry brush these, or airbrush these, of course, and dry brush these. Any kind of brushing you like. But airbrushing would work just fine. Oh, I broke this one. No problem. Once I glue it onto the base, it wouldn't matter. I just flip them over each other. There we go. So here is the rest of my fern. And same idea, I'm going to take a little burnishing tool, or in this case my brush. Use my fingers. Shapey, shapey, shapey. And once I glue it as a bunch, voila. I can spread it out down to the point where I've attached it to my piece. Not green enough, that's fine. Come in. Got some solid green. It's a very thinned ink. It's my preference. There we are. Voila. Sort of. Out of focus. There we are. But yeah, dry, these things are much easier to take off. A little folding. The rolling. You'll find that it is generally a breeze. Do need to be delicate, of course, because you're working with a fine paper product, but usually find if I get a couple of these out into the middle, the rest of them will just pop right out for me. Voila. One complete fern. There we go. A little less light for you. Poncho fern. Let's do something clever. For a change. Go to the wrong part. I'm just going to fold these all up here. Just for the sake of the demo, I'm going to just pinch them all together flat. So I don't have to worry about holding it as much. So that I can, again, come in here and show off being able to shape the plant easily. Get my fern. And again, that translucency just can't be beat. It's just fantastic, and I loves it. I loves it, loves it, loves it. So look for the ferns at the end of the month here, coinciding with ReaperCon. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. They'll be in the booth with Jess Rich, which also gets you a great opportunity to go and give her money for art. So let me check the focus again. Hey, look. That's a good way to do it. All right. And now we play with cars. Here we go. One car. All right. So I put on the Gaslands group that I was going to do this today and asked for suggestions on color. And the winner, in my opinion, is definitely the hot pink, the hot rod pink. So I'm going to get my rust colors first. Grab these. And I'm grabbing old rust, orange rust, and yellow rust. I'm going to do a base coat of rust on the vehicle and the chassis. Sorry, on the cab and the chassis. And then I'm going to use the hairspray technique on just the original cab. So the extra plates will be all rust. maybe a design on them as well or something. We'll see. Let's see, what did I use here? The canopy here is from the Secret Weapon brass etch pieces. Poke out a couple of those holes that got filled in with primer. Pokey poke, pokey poke. The grill, or the ram, is also from the same sheet of Secret Weapon brass etch. And the rest is plastic card and wire and schmutz. But all right, now the good news for the pink is that we make an incredible pink. So it's going to make this easy. Let's see. Hot Rod Pink. Boom. Optic Pink. We'll give that a shot. And if it's not that, where's my other one? Neo Pink. I might use the one and then the other is the highlight. So this is Neo Pink and Optic Pink. I think we're going to have a fine car here. But now, before I get started, I do need to grab hairspray. Still need to find music I can play on the channel so I don't have to sing for you guys. And I'm doing just a light coat. I won't be using salt with this one. Salt not at this scale. I'm mostly worried about the chassis and the cab, so I don't care if I get any on the engine. I'm just going to ignore that area. And because I don't want to spend all day watching hairspray dry, we're going to blow dry it. Right, I did not replace the blow dryer. Welcome to Watching Stuff Dry with Mr. Justin. This week, hairspray. Note how, as it dries, the product loses that sheen. That's how you know it's dry. And that's all for today's episode of Watching Stuff Dry. Tune in next week when we watch stuff dry. Hey, dry. Okay, fine, I'll cheat. Hey, go away. All right. Sure, that sounds really awesome on the microphone, too. You're welcome. What you didn't know is that was all performance art. Today's episode is actually sponsored by the Experimental Media Research Laboratory here in Sacramento. It's my entry for this year's Noise Fest. I'm also going to mix things up today by not using sponges or an airbrush for the rust part. I'm actually just going to use regular old brush. My worn out ones, but whatever. Brush is brush. My finger. Just getting kind of an uneven coat. Golly, this is really warm. How about all those metal bits, Justin? Yeehaw. I lied. I can't phone it in even if I'm going to paint over it. So I'll use a bit of sponge. Even for a Hot Wheel. Focusing on the edges because I will want to highlight those a little bit. Now I'm using a really light color for the body of the vehicle. So I'm actually going to want to keep my rust a little darker to get that contrast, but I'm doing this so that when it appears it has texture. And of course I said that these panels very rusty and not painted over. So I might up stripping all of the pink off of those, or at least most. I might leave a couple of hints. Well, no, that's not true. It wouldn't have been pink to begin with. It's not like they repainted this cab. All right. And next, I'm going to use my yellow rust. Get some real highlights in here. Find a pin because it's not coming out. Please remember that if your bottles are clogged, you can squeeze until paint comes out. As long as you're willing to live with the regrets. Otherwise, use a pin, poke a little hole. All right. Too much paint. Too little paint. There we are. Light over here. See that we're already starting to take on the look of rust. Let me focus. So it's starting. And for what this is going to be, it is just about right. Because again, I want the rust peeking through here to be dark to contrast with the light pink body. I'll finish a bit of yellow chassis back here. I'm gonna mud that up too, I think. Some kind of grunk. A bit of yellow on the top. A little bit of beard in the exhaust. All right, there we go. Last but not least, I'll use a tiny bit of my old rust. To break this up and help blend it in a bit. Plus the purple in this will add a little harmony with the, heavy magenta and the pink. Works for me. All right. So right now is when I should have put the hairspray down. We did a first one for no particular reason, but that's fine. Does us no harm. And one of the things we can actually do is layer the hairspray technique like this intentionally to create more variegated rust. At this point, all it would do is allow me to get down to the dark rust, the original dark brown underneath it. Not super useful, but whatever. Is what it is. Including funny. You'd almost think I didn't sleep well last night. Or last 2 nights before that, or something. So I'm going to leave this to dry by itself for just a second. I'm going to get my 2 colors ready here. And again, this is Neo Pink. And this one is an Optic Pink. Going in tomorrow, going into the warehouse tomorrow to process a new batch of mech paints. Wave 1 is sold out a bunch of colors already, so we are playing catch up right now. I also just bought a new bottling machine. Hopefully help us reduce the labor involved in getting paint out. Experimenting with more new pigment sets. Get more of this nice high solid coverage that we enjoy so much. Oh man, reruns. I've seen this episode of Watching Things Dry. Let me talk for a minute about the hairspray technique for those that may be new to this. Turn on autofocus for a while too. Let's see what that does for us, other than make us dizzy. So acrylic paint is porous. A layer of water on top of the acrylic paint is going to seep through that paint all the way down to the surface below it. Hairspray then creates a water-soluble mask between layers. So what happens is I put down a layer of hairspray, put down a layer of paint, make sure both are completely dry. It is a technique that really only works with an airbrush because, of course, if I'm taking a wet brush and pushing it across my hairspray, what happens? Taking my hairspray with me. It gets gumpy. It's not great. Not ideal. Suboptimal. But in this case, I'm going to airbrush a layer of paint over the base coat and the hairspray here. Autofocus. It's always a failure. And what that's going to do is let me get the top layer wet. It's going to seep through, hit that hairspray, and then I can take it off carefully, at this scale especially, from where I want it to disappear. You go bye-bye. Even thin, you can see how solid the pigment coverage is. I love it. Sorry, I'm bragging about my paint again. Which I actually over-thinned for this application too, so give me 1 sec. Do the naughty thing and add paint straight to this instead of making a new one. And of course, I'm only thinning with water. I might use some ISO if I needed to reduce surface tension, but I don't think that's going to be an issue here. And always add water before you add ISO. Do. blow dry that so it doesn't get too wet with the next layer. In this episode of Watching Things Dry, Neo Pink Paint by Citric Weapon Miniatures. As with other paints, note how it loses the sheen when it dries. That's a sign that the moisture has evaporated from within the paint and is now dry. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Hot pink, by which I mean optic pink, because I don't sell hot pink. But you know what? You don't know that in a minute. Actually, I think I prefer the Neo Pink. Looks a little too white for me. So I think what I'll do is put this on now as a highlight. And I'm going to shade back down to the other color. Oh, but wait. I have a better idea. Since I've already added too much hairspray, well, not too much, but an unnecessary layer of hairspray, what I'm going to do is do it again intentionally. And this is going to become one of the layers that we expose, and it will become a highlight on my chipping. Happy accidents. Or how to pretend you're not really grumpy at your project. I need to make sure my paint is completely dry. I need to make sure there's a layer of hairspray. That's not hairspray. Here we go. I need to make sure that's completely dry. I have the NPR Bob Ross auto-tune in my head now, of course. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend that you hit YouTube and sit through the ads so National Public Radio gets their money. But it is an official auto-tune and video, and you can get Bob Ross, Mr. Rogers, and Julia Childs. Alright, so I had that layer of hairspray. It's dry. I'm now coming back with the Neo Pink again. Getting the sides. Top. Kind of leaving my edges. Like I said, I want to use that as something of a highlight. I know what I'm going to do last. I'm getting carried away, folks. Somebody stop me. Time for a secret weapon. Which, when you work at Secret Weapon, really says something, right? What? You don't even count. You're not even a real color. Now it's sparkly pink. We can weather and chip the heck out of that to help tone that down. I believe it was Tony that suggested this, so thank you. Blow dry. But wait, there's more. Needs a shadow. Airbrush really needs to be cleaned, or because this has flake in it, I need to really turn up the air pressure. Or both. With airbrushing, it's never a simple answer. Get the hubs all shiny purple metal. Now, of course, I'm singing in my head, shiny metal, purple metal people. Alright, I need to get some sleep. Clearly. Shiny metal, purple people. Alright. Blow dry and weather. Alright. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually take off a big section of this. Not with that brush, though. It's not a bad choice, but it's not a good choice. Get the white thing out of here so it stops focusing on that. And, yeah, this will do. Let me get a down in front. There we are. Move the camera. Make it so you guys can actually see. There we go. All right, so here is my very shiny car. I mean, it's so shiny. Look at that albedo. Wow. It's so shiny I could die. All right, so let me get rid of my acrylic paint. Here into the safe rubbish spot for it. Now, again, the hairspray creates a water-soluble layer between masks. Now I put, or between layers of acrylic. Now I put a lot of acrylic on top of here, but even right away, you will need to rinse your brush because you can see paint coming off. But right away, you'll see a difference. Now on these little panels, I'm doing a lot of water because I don't want to so much weather it as get all that darn paint off of there. Because only the cab should be pink. And you can see how, because of that hairspray, I can actually just slow this layer off if I want. Sloop. All right. So, boom. There is the first of the panels exposed. There we are. I'm going to do the same on the other side before I start weathering the whole model. Well, the hull of the cab. And with an hour to go in this broadcast, I should be able to get a great deal done on this because of the scale. Should be able to just cruise right there. All right. So here are those two cover panels, which I want to be quite rusty. Come back later with pigments and whatnot. Here they are now. So we're back to, for the moment, just the cab. So what I'm going to do is get one side of this cab wet. Gently brushing, gently brushing, gently brushing. And because I don't want a lot of chipping on this, I do actually want to try and keep the cab fairly weathering free or chip free. I do want to get this edge though, because that's actually where I'm going to do most of my chipping, is along the edges here. So one thing I can do using the edge of this brush, and this is, you can see, a fairly soft brush. Well, I think I have camera controls in the way there. Yeah, you can see, fairly soft brush. Bloop, bloop, bloop. I'm going to take it and run it along this edge. Now this is gooping up because of the metallic pink I used. It's fine. Cheat a little bit, come in with my blade. You can also use this as raised paint if I decide not to take it off completely. So I'm going to stick to my needles and blade for now. Because this stuff, the ink I used is peely. Never tried it before with a layer like this, and probably won't again. Because this stuff is funky. But even so, you can see the edging that I'm getting in here. Yeah, you can see how the metallic pink stuff just wants to goop. It's crazy. Well, lesson learned. Dollarani good, Dollarani Botanics, maybe not great for this particular technique. Wow, kind of neat. Inconvenient, but neat. All right. The other side of the blow dryer again for a minute and see if that helps. This is your world. You're the creator. Find freedom on the canvas. Believe that you can do it, and you can do it. Give a little push, give a little shove. Make love to the canvas. All right. whole thing wet. See what I can accomplish here without getting in too much trouble with the material today. Just trying stippling them. I can create some color and texture that way here on the rear of the vehicle. Its bumper would have been. The answer is not really. Stuff is just too funky. That's fine. We make do, right? That's what we do. I can figure out how to work with this. Even if it's funky. All right, I'm gonna try stippling over here again, but I already kind of know it's not going to work. It's just going to use it to loosen that up a bit. Come here on this edge again. Scrape away, because that's what it wants. It's going to take today. Heck, try my finger in here and see what happens. It's a good thing I want this one to be mostly scratch free, because scratching it up is turned into a pain in the butt. All right. Here's our hot pink hot rod for the moment. Charles, thanks for the tip. Fortunately, I have to say I don't use the future pledge on models. It's got other stuff in it, so I just use the Liquitex gloss medium. I find I have much more consistent results with that, because it's for this. Some of my paints are out of their bin. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I know for a fact that means they're not on my desk, because I just cleaned up my desk, which means, sure enough. Excuse me, folks. Gotta reach over to my son's desk for a minute. Any others? Is one of them? Nope. Dark irons here. That's good. I need dark iron. Oh, Seamus, where's my silver metallic? Here. Oh, there's two paints way up here. Okay, that's interesting. Jesus. Oh, goodness. Bottle of primer on his desk. That's new. All right, so I may have to cheat a bit because I can't find my engine metallic. I don't think I can. That's not it. Nope, that's dark wood. You should be right there in the middle of those. So Seamus took that one, but I don't know where he put it. And I've been organized in here again for so long that it didn't even occur to me to check to make sure I had paints, because why wouldn't I? That's all right. I'll cheat. I have other colors that work. Like engine metal, which you put back in the wrong place. That's something. All right. Let's try this again, shall we? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the candy paints, if you're talking, what is that? Badger. Yeah, I don't know much about those, so I don't get to comment. I have used the Badger paints, but I don't own any of them or use them. For things like the translucent glosses, I still have my Dollar Rowney. All right. So I'm starting to do the engines here with a base of dark iron, of course. Let me see. Come with me and you'll be in a world that's super freaky weirdo. There we are. Can we go one more? Let's do it. Let's get crazy with it. All right. This moisture off of here. Oop. Never got all the color off of the chassis. That's fine. Do something with that in a bit. I am simply taking dark iron and blocking it onto my engines. Nice metallic base for it. I will make a couple of components on this engine red, though, I think. A couple of sections. Add a little pop. Sizzle. Zales. Needs more zales. So right away, very quickly, very easily, we have nice dark engines. Get my pins up front. Using the edge of my brush to do that. And in this case, clean that brush off. Get this one wet. Get our ram, grill, plow, what have you. Get our Dashboard. It's probably the blower that I just touched. Oh, in front of that. That'll do for the moment. Alright. Well, I don't move that. I just need to let this dry for a minute. While I am letting that dry, I will take, is Tire Black one of these colors? Hey, look at that. At least my son has good taste in colors. Of course, I might be totally biased when I say that. If I might, I mean I'm totally biased when I say that. A 3-axle car. Just in case you were wondering what was going through my head in the silence. I was singing 3-axle car in my head. To Gilligan's Island running through my head as I paint. For no other reason than I can't listen to music. It drives me crazy. I'm going to send a letter to Tom Waits asking his permission to use his music on my videos. Now you might be asking yourself, why don't I choose Tire Black? In which case, that's a silly question, and you should not ask it. This was a fun color to formulate. I had an idea in my head, and I had taken the paper and I'd actually formulated it out to get the color I wanted, which is just about this color. It did change a bit in the final formulation. But I did these in Texas with Anne. While I was there, we were trying to figure out how much gloss and do we have the color right, and we really felt that I was just a little off. And so we actually spent must have been the better part of an hour wandering around the parking lot outside of Reaper, looking at various tires, including some big ones, because some folks there collect cars, actual cars, and a couple of actual hot rods in the buildings around us, so we can go check those out. Always appreciate the incredible effort Anne was willing to put into these with me. Are very special paints. Not just for their colors, but for their various formulations. Dun, 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 dun. I actually need to paint the bottom, silly man. Boom. starting to look vicious. And pink. The little known sequel was Vicious and Pink. If you have to ask sequel to what, then stay off my lawn. This, of course, is engine metal. It's like metal for your engines. And right there. Zoop doop doopy doopy doo. Oh, doesn't help to put the paint back if I don't have any on my palette. And all my paints are clogged today. No big deal. These dropper bottles, they'll last forever. All right, do I want this one? I want this one. Right, the tires are wet. I'm just roughly dry brushing this on. Decide which area gets color here in a minute. Probably the rear engine, but I'd rather do the front actually now that I think about it, just for contrast's sake. This. That. Area between. Here a little heavier. Here a little heavier. There a little heavier. There out of the shadow. There we go. Now I can see. Oh, right. Yes. Especially edges. There we are. Define that. Define that. Just a little harder. A little harder. Well, I'm going to hit those with enamel actually in just a minute, but we'll talk about that. Boom. It's beginning to look a lot like. I got nothing. I can't sing my way out of this one. All right. So in this case, I'm actually not going to try and deal with the hairspray stuff that's on the axle. I'm actually just going to go in there and paint that up real quick. And dust off my small palette just for these shows. All right, let's see, brown rust. So what do you want to do about lunch today, Jess?
I brought some vegetables.
Nice. All right, see, a bit better, more contrast. Start to look worriggy. Well, buggy. Now I'm going to add some real shine to the engines. Right. Let me stop looking for my pens where they belong. I took all my pens on holiday. Zoop doop 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 doop. You're sharp. You are sharp. The other thing I discovered on holiday was that my son was also happy to use my pens. I can't really get mad at him for that. But a few of my Sharpies are no longer pointy. And then in this case, that's all I got. I got a Sharpie, so. So much shine. Our very chromed piece. You'll definitely see how that stands out from the areas around it. Do the same to these little guys. Do that. I'll make that section red. Ooh, I'll use our Neo Pink is what I'll do. So I am getting Neo Pink on my brush, loading it up. Plenty of paint. But now, using just the edge of my brush again, in fact, I'm going to soften the edge of my brush. Now I have some color on the forward engine. Right. There we are. And here. Here and voila. So yeah, a little extra spot of color on the front of the vehicle there. Some color harmony, some visual interest, the whole bit. Vroom, 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 right? All right, what do I want to do next? I actually think I'm going to give silver treatment to the bars of the grill. Stand out, make them visible. Cap right there. Edge of this. Edge highlight action. All right, back to work on that chassis. Spot O sponge. Spot O yellow. Bloop. Little spot. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Yellow, yellow, yellow. I'll tone all of this down with some oil, enamel, pigment, something. Probably pigment. Given it, you know, I'm me. Right? A little bit of dust. Yeah, I definitely need to find a way to do music, because now I've got Mambo number 5 in my head for this car. Like a little bit of old rust for my car. Ah, dear YouTube, let's talk about your rules. Alright, some orange rust. Here we are. Starting to look crazy. Oh my. You got bond up there. Oh well, it's glued now. Alright, so next I'm actually going to pull out my pens, like I do, and see if I can do any highlighting or anything like that with pens or pencils. Try to hit my whites along that red, see what I can do here. Oh, try it as an enamel. And what have I got? There we go. A little more gloss, a little more shine to it. Before I do anything else really to the car itself, I'm going to have to varnish this whole darn thing. But right now, I actually think I'm going to use the silver pen to do the exhausts, because I want some more attention to those. So on the sides here, I can. There we are. That separates the two exhausts a little better. I hit my front pins. Help that stand out. See if we can get the rear pins with this. But of course, mostly of course, I'll have to get in there with a brush at some point. might get all the way back. The bumper will be rust, all rust. This one. That would. So got a lot more rust to do. That's no shock to anybody, I'm sure. The tops of these, just as an edge highlight. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'll take it. Works for me. Let's get these little guys. There we are. Oh, so adjusted. Vroom, vroom. All right. So I'm looking at it from the top to see what kind of focus I have, and it does a good job bringing attention this way. So I'm going to have to bring attention back this way a bit, where a driver would be at the very least. Highlight off of the edges. There we are. Pulls from the back, so I have to repaint them. Lazy tricks, lazy tricks. Why am I sharing you? You gotta be able to be lazy. We've always got too many projects and not enough time, so find the tricks, techniques, tools, shortcuts that work for you. Stick with them. Right. Couple spots for here. Like I said, this is going to be all rust, so it should be brown first. You too. And you. That off. Get my engine metal back out here. Oh, it's dried. Get those pins back here. It's going to be visible. Might as well paint it. I don't care that somebody has to go out of their way to find these, given that I will almost certainly list this for sale on my Etsy shop. I don't want somebody to get it and be like, hey, there's a whole part of this you didn't paint, man. That's crap. Because that would be crap. Zip up better there. All right. Vroom, vroom. Still shiny. It's still got a heavy albedo because of the metallics I used. So much metallic going on here. fact, I'm going to make the engine a little even more shiny. Side, since it's got purple on it. This side, because it's going to have purple on it too. Hey, one of my rods fell out. That's interesting. Oh, no, it didn't. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. No. Okay. It does only hold 3. You'd think I'd know that by now. All right, so at this point, I'm actually going to call it for today because I actually need to go out and varnish this before I can really do anything else. And that's going to make me wait 15 minutes. And while I can find something to do in that 15 minutes, like play with more plants, we're really at the end here. So I am going to post finished pictures of this on the Facebook page and, of course, to the Gaslands page. I will get it varnished and show it off. I'd like to have it finished today. In the interim, as always, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, it really is a pleasure knowing that you guys are going to be here with me on Wednesday, having Workbench Wednesday to look forward to. Yeah, it's a great part of my week. So thank you very much for tuning in, for joining me again. Yeah, and as always, happy hobbying. I will see you next time. Cheers from all of us at Secret Weapon.